When I looked at the programme for this conference in preparation, I must say, I thought, does this prove that ADR has come of age? Because it's an extraordinary range of topics with a great depth of experience in the speakers. And I thought what I would do is take the moment we're in now, and according to the polls, we are about to see a massive political change, and go back to the 1990s, which is the last time we were about to go through the same predicted seismic change. And just have a look at ADR at those two moments in time. Let's start with arbitration. You can obviously dispute whether or not that really is part of the dispute resolution, the alternative dispute resolution techniques available. But where were we in the 1990s? Well, we were about to enter into the Arbitration Act 1996, described by Sue Carr at the beginning of this week as a landmark piece of legislation. I can remember that I was asked by Arthur Marriott, does anyone else remember Arthur Marriott, if I could assist in the work that he wanted to do in drafting that legislation. And I think at my clerk's prompting, I delayed answering. I was too busy going around the county courts doing proper work. And in that period, an alternative helper was found, Toby Landau. And I always wonder whatever happened to Toby Landau. If you know, let me know. So that's where we were in the 1990s, landmark, that consolidation of the Arbitration Act in order to place London firmly as one of the global hubs for dispute resolution. Where are we now, looking back? Well, we've had nearly 3 decades of the commercial court, assisted by the TCC, making it absolutely clear that it is there to support arbitration and not to supplant it. We've gone through a law commission process, and the results show quite clearly that the market thinks that act broadly works. There are, of course, things that can be improved, and they will be improved. It just missed the wash-up, the rush to this election. But what I'm hearing is that it will be very firmly be back on the agenda after this election. So that, I think, is something where we can say, now that's been a positive. We got that one right. And when you look at the LCIA figures, yeah, London is holding up in the face of enormous now competition. Let's look at the next one, statutory adjudication. That has just gone through its 25th anniversary. We were grappling with it in the 1990s. When it was introduced, I have a few favourite quotes. I won't name who gave them, but it's referred to as being a disastrously misguided intervention. It was described as being a powerful impetus to increased litigation. Well, fast forward now. What do we have? Our Supreme Court describes it as the only game in town for construction. Again, supported here with the TCC in the lead, the courts have held the line. The policy is clear. Pay now, argue later. The most recent survey of the users indicates great support for its continued use. Indeed, there is support for removing that ragbag of exemptions in Section 105 and broadening the application across the construction industry. We have the position where effectively the adjudicator's decision is treated as being the final solution. It will be used as the basis for a mediation if not just implemented. So again, scorecard, matter for you, but I think that it's looking good. Let's go on to the next one, mediation. Now that was new to the courts in the 1990s. It was being trialled in a few pilots in the county court and in the Court of Appeal. But I can remember looking at it and thinking, what is this? How do you qualify? Do you need to be qualified? The courts broadly also looked at it and said, what is this? Back in the 1990s, we were pre-Halsey. And we had two different streams coming out from the courts while they tried to work out just how this fits in to the dispute resolution playing field. Move forward. Where are we now? Well, could not be clearer, could it? Halsey has been set aside. Japanese knotweed will forever join the ginger beer snail as something that we teach. Mediation is fully supported by all branches of our courts. And indeed, we've just had the first decision where a 25% reduction was made for an unreasonable refusal to mediate in the costs. And we have the implementation in the recent months of mandatory mediation for low-level claims, with the confident expectation that it will be broadened in scope. We've also internationally seen the Singapore Convention, hoping to do for mediation settlements what the New York Convention undoubtedly did for arbitration. So if we reflect there, maybe that's another strong positive. When I go back to the 1990s, I do appreciate that a DAB or a DAB was something you did with a face cloth. Nobody ever thought about doing anything else in the United Kingdom. And I think we might find during the course of the opening sessions that in fact that's moved on. There's far more awareness and intelligent use of that method. Early neutral evaluation, again, was not really on the radar in the 1990s, but seems anecdotally to be growing in use. Expert determination has been slow but steady. We had a flurry of cases in the 1980s when everyone just checked, were the courts going to hold those it's a final and binding decision absent fraud clauses? Were they going to hold the line on those? And the message very firmly was, oh yes we are, because we believe in party autonomy. And not much else has happened. It has continued, it seems to me, but I shall be interested in hearing the discussions this morning, that it remains part of the toolbox for a very specific section of disputes. That might be something to widen. So there's my thoughts. I find myself, and I know I'm a lawyer, I'm a glass half empty person. But when you actually look at where we've come, I think the glass is half full. We have responded, we have acquired new skills, and we are aware that there is a huge range of ways to get people to talk and to move on.